Woodville High School is a small school with less than 400 students being serviced. With all the changes everyone has had to face this year, Woodville has been able to have several positive changes, especially in the form of new classes being offered. For some time now, the school has been without an automotive education path for students to pursue. But this year, thanks to a new teacher with a unique passion, that has changed. Meet Mr. Chewy, a veteran in the automotive profession who specializes in custom vehicles.
I was 16 when I started. I started working at a shop. Man showed me how to do the custom work. I started sweeping. Didn't know nothing, started sweeping. Then I gradually moved to spreading Bondo, then to spraying primer, then to block sanding, then to painting cars, then to fabricating cars. And in 4 years, I was running the shop. I moved from Houston to Woodville to live in the farm and build cars in my shop. And then the school called me. I was just doing my normal stuff and they wanted me to teach my trade. So I don't have no kids of my own. I said I need to pass my trade to somebody dying art. Hopefully they'll learn and I'll change the lives of several kids. They'll learn how to build their own cars and customs cars. If they could build a custom car, they could work in a collision shop. Collision shops, nowadays you paint a fender and you bolt it on. You might strain the frame if it's bent. But on a custom car, you gotta it's like you're engineering the car. You're using 5 or 6 different vehicles to make one car, and you make everything float. Also, it's not just building a car, it's like building a sculpture, so it's also an art form. Because when you're personalizing the car to a customer, to their specifications. So when it's done, it's the only one. The first couple of days I was nervous, talking to students and seeing if I would be able to teach them, but they've been starting to show interest, learning how to work with power tools. Some of them never have even used power tools. Now they feel comfortable with power tools, welding, grinding, spraying, running wires on trailers, because we're starting with trailers, so eventually we're going to wire this whole truck up. I'm going to show them how to wire, so they're going to show them how to run fuel lines, brake lines, so it's not just paint and body, it's a complete build from the ground up. I'm trying to bring car customizing into Woodville, because any town or any small town or city, there's plenty of paint and body shops. There's not plenty of specialty shops. Like nowadays, this is what people want, the old restored cars, but with the comfort of a new car. We put disc brakes, air conditioning, new stereos, rack and pinion. So it drives like a brand new car, but you're looking at an old car on the outside. The students are starting to connect with me because I showed them back in '96, I won the Super Chevy class on my 50 on this car for the second time I did it. I won Super Chevy. I show them that they could make a good living if they learn the trade, and they're connecting with me because they're seeing what I've done and where I've been, and I'm really bonding with them now. Like I told the students, not all of you are going to be body men. That's why I'm teaching them how to do body work, fabricating, wiring, and mechanical. So we're going to figure out who's good for body work, and then I'll push more body work to that student. I'll see who's good for wiring. Let them do the wiring. If he feels comfortable, then who's mechanically. But like I tell them, we need all of y'all as a team to make one build. We need an electrician, we need a wiring, we need a painter, we need a detailer. So we're going to see who's good for each part, and they'll specify. Because not everybody does what I do, that I do everything. So we just got to concentrate what's their strong part and go that direction with that student. Some have never had any shop skills, and most of them have taken welding with Scotia or building with Woodville. So those are a little bit ahead, because I could tell them, weld this, tack this, take these measurements, cut it, and they already got some schooling on that. And then the ones that are new, then I tell them, okay, we're going to use the power tool, we're going to use the grinder, the cutoff wheel, the spray gun. So then I can leave those students that have some knowledge take off while I'm working with the newer kids, and then they're starting to feel more comfortable. I found this truck in the woods. They were fixing to send it to the scrapyard. And I looked at it and I said, you know, we could build a nice farm truck. And once I got it here and we started working on it, it's gonna be a pretty decent. It's gonna be a little bit average than a farm truck, but just because I'm teaching the kids and we're able to put some of their input in the truck, and it's starting to become a better build than what I originally thought we were gonna have.
Mr. Chewy is highly knowledgeable and has worked with his students who have had some prior experience and some brand new to the career paths being explored. One way he has bridged this skill and knowledge gap is to have students in his classes scaffold their learning by being introduced to basic skills in a project where they have took deteriorated bicycles and trailers and restored them to be usable once again. Let's take a moment to hear about these starting projects.
We brung in all bike, stripped it down, some bare metal. We put Bondo all over it, filled in holes and cracks, painted it, put it back together. Put it back together was the hardest part. It was the hardest part. To get it the way we wanted it, it was kind of challenging.
We had to patch up the holes that was in the bike. We had to weld them up so we could fill in the holes and make it the frame backs looking like it's supposed to look.
And after patching the holes, we had to grind it all down, make it smooth, make it look like the regular body.
I think we welded something right here, piece that was in here.
It's kind of like under this part, under this metal under there. It's all up under there. Yeah. Painted it, we had water sanded it. Sandpaper, you put water on the sandpaper and on the metal, and you just rub it till you can, to the way you want it to be. A little heavier than this, and we put a clear coating over it. So the rust a little more. The rat rod look is really smooth. It looks rusty. That's part of the look.
1953 Monarch. You can see the original Monarch sign from the factory. Rat rod started in the 50s when the guys couldn't afford a finished paint job. They just put parts together with whatever parts they could hunt. And they didn't have enough money to give it and make a show car. So then they just made a rat rod, basically a car with different parts and rough finish.
So throughout the years, we've been working on a few trailers, wiring the trailers, painting them. So me, at the beginning of the year, not knowing how to paint very good, it's kind of started to come to me. So with the wrist work, it's kind of like everything has to be steady in one motion. You can't sit in one spot very long because you do, of course, to go run. So everything has to be smooth in one motion, and everything has to be even. And you have to stay close, because if you don't, it's going to be like a more dull color, and we want it to shine. Usually, after we paint them, we always have to wire them up. So at the beginning of the year, Mr. Chewy had to walk us through it and show us where the wires go and how we run them. Basically, the color coordinations and everything. But after the first trailer, our second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on, we're actually to wire it by ourselves. So usually when we get a trailer, the first thing we do is we always have to take the rust off of it. We'll work for a few days taking the rust off of it, and that's the same thing we did with the truck. We got the rust off of it. And then learning how to paint these trailers is going to help us when we start actually painting the truck. So I'll have an idea of what to do when it's time to paint the truck.
You can remodel cars, just from these skills right here. It gives me more opportunities that I can think that I can. I don't know anything about this class, honestly, because it's kind of new. And it can really help Woodville because we have no like shop, no body work shop.
Well, he taught us everything we know down at the Bondo and the sanding and to feel the metal and feel the dents. And he taught us everything we know, and I really appreciate coming into this program and just learning how to do stuff and taking on later on in life. doing this helps us to work on other projects, bigger projects like trucks. So you basically do the same thing with a truck, but it's bigger and not a bike. You bondo the truck, you sand the truck, and you just take everything off this and you just do it to that. So,
as you can see, students were introduced to smaller scale projects that allow them to prepare and sharpen their skills before moving on to a larger, detail-oriented project. Their next project is to restore a deteriorated truck. Typically, in an automotive class, education is focused on repairing basic dents and maintenance. What the students in this new class have been able to do while learning the same skills is amazing under the tutelage of Mr. Chewy. Let's hear from them about their contributions in the progression of the custom vehicle and restoration.
I walk in the morning, I open the tool room, and they go and get their tools, and they start like, what we're gonna do today? And they just start working, where before I would have to explain to them, well, now we're gonna do this, and now they just come in and pick up where they left off.
basically the difference in between a normal auto shop is you could build 20 Suburbans and they'll all go out looking the same. And a custom auto shop, you can build one Suburban to the owner's request, and everybody will know that one Suburban because you customized it and made it your own with their ideas. In my opinion, the trucks that you see out there on the road today versus when we get done with this truck, everybody in town is gonna know this truck. And say you got a little bitty F-150 out there. No one knows who drives that truck unless they know them. They're all the same. And this one, no one else has a truck like this because it's customized in your own ideas and it's unique in its own way. Because a lot more goes into the custom aspect of designing and fabricating and just getting to know the truck. You gotta know what to do to the truck before you do it to the truck. So you gotta make an outline and you gotta sketch it. And not everybody can just come into a shop and just make a custom truck. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta have the right knowledge and you gotta have the right people to teach you how to do it. And that's what we're learning in the shop. The shop has prepared me to do this a little because we would do little projects in there like build a little chicken coop or do some wood or cut some metal or weld, and that really prepared me for this class. And this is my first year here, and I think I've gotten really far in the program so far.
The frame is from a 1990 four-door, three-quarter-ton Chevy.
For the bed is from 285 Chevy beds.
The rails are from a 1947 Chevy flatbed.
The truck has two Jeep Grand Cherokee seats in it.
It's powered by an 85 Suburban mid-engine 454.
What we're doing in this class is we're learning how to build a truck, basically. So we could take this and go into an auto body mechanic's actual shop, and we can take all the knowledge we've learned from this and put it in that and be more skilled. And Mr. Chewy has done a great job of that. He's taught me everything I know and my friends everything they know. So it's really going to be good when we actually go to build our own projects. Like, you could work on pretty much anything, motorcycles, four-wheelers, trucks, cars, 18-wheelers. It just depends on how much you. This is going to help us a lot.
This is an original 51 Ford grill, and originally it only came with 3 knuckles on it, but we added these 2 on. And basically what we've been doing to it, we've been filling in holes with a MIG welder, and then we've been grinding it off smooth. And then once we're all done, we're gonna paint it, put vinyl on it, sand it down again, and then paint it, put it on the truck.
Coach Pauls has helped us a lot with our welding experiences. Most of us have been in here before this class was made, so whenever we transferred over, Coach Powell's class just kind of helped us to get used to it. Welding, like I've been to welding 1 freshman year. Sophomore year I did welding 2, and then now I'm in welding 3 in 6th and 7th period. And you know, it's just really gave me a lot of experience on a MIG machine, which is what we have here to do the simple jobs of filling in all of these holes and then grinding them down to make them nice and flush.
It's the 51 for the original grill, but we added these 2 teeth. It only has 3 for the
factory. We added 3 extra. We just kind of
Stuff like this.
Yeah.
That doesn't have a end piece right here, and you gotta fill it in. You gotta build it up, and you gotta fill it in, bring it out. But you gotta be careful because if it's too hot, you'll burn right through it and make a bigger hole.
You have a ground, and this has to be connected to the metal that you're welding on for it to work. The oxygen is what makes the metal fuse to the metal. It's argon gas. And then you just turn the machine on and pull this trigger, and it causes the wire to come out.
This is your heat or your voltage, and this is your wire speed. It determines how fast the wire comes out and how fast you're burning through it.
Right here, when we first put them in, they were too low. You couldn't see the windshield, so we had to fabricate the frame right here, and here in the middle. We're still working on it, and we're gonna make it closer right here. So what we did, we measured the seat so we could measure the frame around it, how big the frame we had to make it. We measure all around, make it all even, we squared it up. So it could be all flat and even, and we had we MIG bolted on there, ground down the all the tech wheels we put on there. Instructor Coach Ball, he taught me how to measure, get everything a perfect even cut using the saw blade, and how to use the torch, and how to square everything up, make it perfectly even. And he taught me how to weld, stay on my puddle, make a good weld, and not have to use a grinder. Better you know how to do all those skills, how to cut, how to weld, save lots of time, and you get a better quality of your fabrication. And
So we're gonna make an end cap, and we're gonna get this right here. There's gonna be no straight lines on the truck. So after this, we get the radius, we're gonna add 2 inches. What we did here is we took a sheet of 14 gauge sheet metal and we cut it out to make it match this. And then, we cut out the sheet and then we bended it on the metal bender here. You put a piece of metal in here and you turn it. And what it does is it bends the metal so you can have the right shape for your truck. Put it here, bend it a couple times, take it out, look at it, put it in the truck. We see what we need to do from there. Then we come back here if it needs to be bent again, and we just roll it again. And then after we do that, our welders, they welded it and rounded it off. So we're gonna outline everything again, make sure that it's what we need, and then we're gonna weld it on, and it has 2 more inches right here we made, and we're gonna put it on the truck because the toolbox doesn't look good by itself. So after we add this, it's gonna make the truck rounded off, and the toolbox won't look as plain. It's gonna match this and this. The truck is gonna be round. So this is gonna make the toolbox look less sharp, and it's gonna round it off just like you see what we did here and here.
well, what we did, we added this part of the fender right here. We spall welded it, and we ground down the tags so we could smooth it in, so we could fit it in. After that, we put it all-star metal, so it's kind of like Bondo, but a little bit better and it's stronger. and holds on better. We sanded that down smooth, and then we start adding Bondo so we can get in the, make it all flat. This dolly right here is a fender. It wasn't all perfect. It has a couple dents in there, and when we had to put it on there, pull the dents out or knock them in, there was too many hot spots, so we had to flow in everything so it could be flat and smooth. And this is the flat sander we use to give it a figure, that flat figure on the Bondo. Because if you put Bondo, you fill it up, it's not smooth, it hardens, so we gotta use this, go around it, give it that shape, give it that flat shape.
Since we're building a custom truck, we want it to have that original custom look. So we're gonna take these off. We're going to change these. So this is from a 1951 Ford truck, and they're a lot longer and they have more curvature in them. And these handles are from a 1933 Ford Coupe. They're a lot shorter. They fit your hand good, so when you go to open the door, it'll feel good in your hand. With these, you need a lock on your truck. So when you come up to it, you can flip this up and unlock it. But our other handles are from a 33 Ford Coupe, and they have the built-in lock in them. So what we're gonna do over here is we're gonna cut this off and we're going to seal it in. So when you put these in, you can just stick the key in there and lock them, unlock the other ones. And we're gonna add the custom handles. This is gonna look a lot better and a lot smoother with the truck, and it'll match because it's rounded off. What we need to do with these handles is, since they don't fit, we are going to trim the edges so they'll fit. And so when you go to open the door, it'll fit like the other ones fit. It'll fit smooth, like that, instead of sticking out. Basically, how we're gonna cut it, we're gonna use a cutoff wheel on a grinder. And make sure you wear your safety glasses because you don't want nothing getting in your eyes.
Alright, so this rear bumper right here was made out of a piece of this channel pipe and this pipe. So what we did was we measured out our length with this flat piece of channel pipe and cut it out. And then these rounded pieces right here, we took this pipe and cut them in half and then cut it out and then welded it around the edges right here and then down. They're grinding it all off flat. And welded that here, and we have another one that we're going to put here to continue the flow of the truck and make everything look finished.
We just got this roll right here cut and tacked it in place right now, so we can add a nice finish rolling into the bumper so it won't have that rough glue right there, that rough feel to it. Cleaning this, so take all the place.
Anything that deals with metal you have to weld. So just welding this bumper on, you know, it helps you practice your weld to make it nice and flush, and then grinding it down. So obviously not this exact same bumper, but if you have just about any kind of truck, you can make a bumper for it. So the skills that we put into this can help us prepare. So making this head, right, we took some of the square tubing, measured out our angles and where we wanted to place each side of it, and then, you know, put the cross pieces across, and then weld it all over it. And we hadn't done this side yet, but with our roller, we took some of this 14 gauge plate and rolled it around this side of the head extract to make it more aerodynamic in the flow of the truck. One of the head extract is whenever Mr. Chewy puts something in the back of how we cut it to shape the bed. And we're going to take this, we're going to stack it side by side across the bed to give it that look. Eventually, we're going to cut the lights, running lights, out on the sides of the bumper, and then a few of them right down this side. Go ahead and run the wires from the lights all the way up to the cab. This truck from the factory had a fitted window on it, and what that is, it's pretty much two separate pieces of glass, and you can open this part of it. Well, we did away with that and drew like a design for the glass piece that we're going to stick in here to make it all one piece, and it's going to look a lot nicer whenever it's the final product.
When you're building a truck, you want everything to flow. You want people to think that it's from the dealership, but it's custom. And not many cars around today are going to look like this one when it's done. It does take more attention to detail because you got to know where to put the parts and what to do with it. So, for example, when you're doing the running boards, these are custom too, these are added on. When you're doing the running boards, you want to make it fit. You want everything to fit and make the design flow being what you had, what the original idea was for. And you want it to look good. And not everybody can come in the shop and start working on a truck and make it look good. You gotta know what you're doing. This is Bondo. And basically what you have to do here is first, before you fill the Bondo, you gotta look for any dents. Any small dents you gotta feel with your hand. And if you feel any dents, you put Bondo there. And after it dries, you sand it down, and the Bondo is gonna fill in the dents like it did right here. So after you do all that, you're ready to paint primer on that.
This is the paint tool. This is where we paint, because it helps a lot. Because you can't just paint out there. Let's say if you want to paint something, you can't paint it. You can, but your paint quality ain't gonna be that good like if it was here. And here we got fans that suction all the trash, so your paint quality comes out good. Because on the paint, when you fill it, when you paint in the paper, you can feel it's smooth. But if you paint outside, you can feel trash in there, which is trapped when you paint, which is called, when you spray it picks up all the trash, all the dirt, and it gets trapped in there. And if you're doing a car paint job outside, that's a lot of buffing. You have to do a lot of cutting and buffing just to get a smooth quality paint job. Otherwise, in here, it helps a lot because it suctions all the trash, everything, and there's less cutting and buffing you gotta do to get a good paint quality. Talk about the pictures we got are these lights right here all around that we got, and the white color, the paint will helps it reflect the light, so it can be a better view. You get better view than if you were painting outside. And every often time we get overspray on these lights, and we just take a razor blade and just chip it off. It comes off and it's pretty clean.
Okay. Well, the students are still working on creating the...
This is a 1951 grill. That's the original truck grill, but the original truck had only 3 of these teeth. This one, the middle one, and the side. We found an old grill and we took these 2 off, so it looks more better with more teeth in our view. This motor, it's off an 85 Suburban, 3/4 tons of 454 big block. We done had it bored, and we just got to clean it up and paint it up. Brake booster, master cylinder, off a 77 Suburban. That's where those came from. Running boards are from a 1974 to 1-ton truck. They're shorty running boards. This truck used to have a bed and long running boards. We incorporated the short running boards and we made it into a flatbed. Our office, Jeep Cherokee. We made these stanchions because they were too low, make them fit better. The steering column, it's off a 85 Suburban Chevrolet, even though the truck's a Ford, but we're using all kind of parts on it. The gas tank used to come out right here. We did away with it. It's going to go underneath the bed now for safety purposes, and it looks cleaner. The rails on this flatbed, they're from a 1947 Chevy flatbed. We use these rails, but the floor itself are from 285 truck beds. So we use the truck beds and we use the rails on the 47 Chevrolet flatbed. We're gonna cap it off with a diamond plate, aluminum, so it looks nice and smooth. The rear bumper, they're welding it right now. We hand build the bumper from a channel and piece of pipe. We're building this rack. We're putting these caps on. We're fixing to continue the metal work on the bottom and on the top, where everything flows. There's no square corners. That when you build a custom car, you're trying to make everything flow, and as you're building the custom car tells you what it needs to finish the puzzle. So, not because it didn't come out a certain way, that doesn't mean you can't do it that way. And the best part is when you go to an auto parts and you're looking for a piece for this vehicle, the people behind the counter want to know, well, what make and model is it? And I tell them it doesn't matter. I need this part for this vehicle, because I would tell them it's a 1951 Ford, but with a Chevy frame, Chevy motor, Jeep seats. You're not going to find it in the computer. so it makes me laugh. If a lot of these new people that work in the auto parts, if the computer does not tell them what to look for, they don't know. They're lost. I said, that's where we're losing our knowledge in the auto part business. If the computer says it don't exist, they can't go back and look for it. Old people used to go back and look and get the books and say, okay, this is what you need.
One only needs to speak with a member of this restoration team to see the enthusiasm and impact this project has had on the students involved. We spoke with Blaine Hobson about his experience.
I thought it was going to be like one of them mess around classes that no one really pays attention, and most people don't pay attention, but it's a really good class. You learn a lot, you're hands-on, you really get stuff done. You got to work with people who actually want to get stuff done and like what they're doing, and I got to work with it. I would mainly work by myself because I'm really good with learning stuff from watching other people do stuff. Like, Mr. Chewy's one of them. I can work with him good because we kind of understand each other, and it's good to understand somebody. You don't want to mess up and have to restart it, but sometimes you're going to have to do that because you can't just get it the first time. You got to practice at it, and I can work with Lucas and Will and sometimes Roman. He sometimes wants to get the job done and sometimes wants to play around, but I mean, we all have our bad days. The truck came in as an old, beat-up, rusty farm truck that needed restoration, and we started working on the bikes. And then my brother, Anthony, he started working on the bikes, got it done. He left. I kind of took over his job, sanding, painting, and all that. And then we got to the truck. We started off taking all the little minor stuff off that we could work on later, like the hood, the grill. We took the bed off, we welded that up, we cleaned it, we grinded it, the roof. We cleaned the roof up. We haven't put no Bondo on the roof yet. I don't really think it needs it. We're really getting to work on the interior now. Like, we're taking the doors off and we're focusing on what needs to be done inside because the outside's almost done. An old beat up rusty farm truck. There was a lot of work that needed to be done to it, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to it, and we're slowly but surely getting that work done. In the shop a couple days ago, my dad has taught me a lot about rebuilding engines and transmissions and taking out the transmission. And, he's taught me a lot about mechanics, not body and sand. I mean, I've sanded some stuff for him before, but not big projects like the truck. So I've learned a little bit, but the shop has really educated me more about working on the body. Started the project, everybody was like, oh, I'm not gonna do that, it's gonna be too hard, but once we've gotten later on in the year, everybody's not everybody. The workers, not the goofballs who play around the whole period, they've really learned a lot. They've really came really far into the program, and they weld, grind, sand, just do the little stuff that they really didn't know how to do when we came into the program. The bikes came in, they were rusty. They basically were really old bikes and they needed some work. So what they did is they would take the bike completely apart and they would lay out the pieces and so they wouldn't lose them. And they would grind the spokes down on the wheels. They would clean the rims up on the wheels. They would sand down the frame and get it looking shiny and sand down the fenders on the bikes. And the bikes have came a long way and they look really good. They're the same, but the truck's a bigger project. So working on the bikes has helped everybody to evolve into going to the truck, because the truck's it's a lot bigger project and it needs a lot more work done than say the bikes. So that really helped everybody to go into working on the truck. We would grind down the trailer and get it looking good, then we would paint it and weld if it needed to be welded, and get the wood and hook up the electrical, redo the electrical and stuff so it would look good. The trailers have played a little bit part, like going into the truck. The truck came, we were working on the truck, and the bikes came, we stopped working on the truck. We would do the bikes, and then every so often we'd work on a trailer. They would bring them in the Woodville shop to do the electrical. They would unhook the lights, get the wires like this. They would get the old ones and replace them with new ones and run it. They would have to like unbolt stuff and run the electrical and stuff. The trailers aren't that hard to work on, you just gotta know what you're doing. Woodville really feels like home more than any other city I've been in. You got nice, genuine people who you don't really see often. The staff, they're really good here about helping you with your work and teaching you and leading you to the path that, I mean, they want you to go on. The teachers here are really good with their job, you know. The ag shop teachers, Woodrum, Powell, Chewy, have done a really good job with teaching the kids the basics and then going on to the more advanced. So I'd say Woodville is a pretty good little town. Okay. It really shows the kids it could either give them a future or help them in their future. So say they want to go into the auto mechanics or the welding industry and make a career out of it. They can, because they can take the knowledge that they've learned here and process that in their head and then go on to a bigger and better job. And I think that everybody needs one of these classes, because not everybody knows how to take apart a truck and work on it and restore it. Like, there's a difference in between a truck on the road and a restored truck. The restored truck is going to have your ideas and your little tweaks and touches to it. And like a car on the road, I mean, that's just basic. That's just a dealership car. Like, you can't really customize them unless you take them apart and actually get your own creative ideas to them. So I think that everybody needs to have one of these classes to help them out with, you know, bigger projects if they have them later on down the road. Stuff that it takes to build a truck. You gotta have the mindset of it. You can't just go into a project and say, I'm gonna get this done. Like, that doesn't happen. You gotta have the mindset of it and just the integrity to work on it. You can't, like I said, you can't just go into it thinking you're gonna get it done as fast. You gotta take your time and really put your ideas into the truck. So, like, just gotta customize the truck to your extent, and you gotta make sure you have the parts to do it, and build the truck. There's a lot of meaning in it. Your craftsmanship and what you do in the truck is your work. You can take pride in it, but a prideful man is a fool, because you can't have too much pride in stuff. You're gonna start messing up. Like, you can't be overconfident, because when you're overconfident, you want to get it done. You want to show everybody that you can do it. You can't have too much pride, and you can't be too overconfident. You gotta really get down into the thought of it. You gotta put your ideas out there and let people hear you. You can't just start working on it and like take pride in your work. It's okay to take pride in your work, but to an extent. You're working on a truck and it's going good. You're doing everything right. You're putting the engine back in, you're putting the tires back in, and then you realize that you forgot to put a bolt in, and it's in the very back. So you took too much time to actually want to get it done, and you forgot about the little things that it needed. Because, I mean, a truck is just as good as the one who built it. You got to know what you're doing, and you got to really follow through with your ideas. I'm more of a look at it, do it worker. If I see someone doing it, I'll ask them how you do it and the steps it takes to do it. So, say I wanted to build a truck by myself. I know how to do stuff to an extent. I can't take out the motor, take it apart and rebuild it. I gotta have someone show me, and I gotta get hands-on. I can't just do it off of YouTube or something. You gotta have an instructor to instruct you and show you how to do it and what needs to be done and what not needs to be done. Mr. Chewy has really showed me the importance of body work. He showed me the meaning of how you do it. He explains it in a way that I've never actually heard anybody explain it. I mean, my dad is a mechanic, like a diesel mechanic and stuff, but I don't really have the time to go out there and ask him, because you know how mechanics' attitude is. It's like, you know, if you mess up, you're out. So Mr. Chewy is really calm and patient and understanding and willing to show you the steps that needs to be done. And I think we're all going to have a really good mindset of how to do this when, say, later on down the road. Well, first we started off just looking at the truck, just examining it and seeing what needs to be done. And then we started taking apart the body. And we would take the hood off, we would take the bed off, see what is like messed up or damaged over time. And I think that it takes a man who wants to work. And that's Mr. Chewy. He takes pride in his work, but like I said, he doesn't take full pride in his work, because you're gonna mess up, you're gonna have mistakes and challenges that you're gonna have to overcome. And I think Mr. Chewy has taught us to overcome the challenges and to sit back and just look at the truck before you start working on it, because you can't just, do it. The most difficult challenge so far has been just the sanding and the grinding and the Bondo work and all that, because it takes time. You can't just say put the Bondo on the truck. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta feel for the bumps, and you gotta what I mean by feel for the bumps is, say you have a piece of metal and your eye can't see it. You gotta rub your hand across and feel the dents and the blemishes and all that. And so that's where you put the Bondo. And when you get done sanding the truck, the Bondo's gonna stay in the hole. So when you get done with that, you're gonna want to sand it down, make it smooth. Mr. Chewy really taught me how to sand, because when I first started sanding, I thought I was doing good. But then he would point me out this end's not supposed to be bumpy, it's supposed to be smooth. I'm like, okay, well, can you show me how to do it? So he would show me how to do it, and he would explain to me and show me the steps on sanding and grinding and mixing Bondo. So I think the most difficult challenge so far will be the exterior. It's going to be really heartwarming for me, because I put so much time and effort and sweat and blood, sweat, and tears in that truck. And it's been a really good project so far for me, because it's really helped me advance in auto body mechanics and working on a truck. I think it's going to be the baddest truck in Woodville. I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life, because it's not every day that you get to work on a truck and put your ideas and your mindset into it and make it your own. It's gonna be a really, really nice truck. I would say, Mr. Chewy wants to paint. He would tell us what color the painting was. I think he wants like a bluish and a grayish or a whitish color to it. And I think I have a drawing on my phone of someone drawed it. and I'm gonna print it out, and we're gonna like design and color it and all that. So I think it's gonna be really cool. Anybody going to this program, I want them to know that there's nothing you can't do. You can overcome anything, and if you learn how to do it and you want to do it, then do it. You can do anything you set your mind to. Like I said, there's nothing you can't do. Nothing's impossible. You could do anything. You could rebuild any truck, any car, any bike, any motorcycle, ATV, anything. So I want them to hear me, and by me, I want them to pay attention and learn and take it slow. Some people are born with it. Some people can like do it so fast and so accurate and steady and all that, but I mean, most people aren't like that. They gotta learn it. They gotta be hands-on with it. They can't just, you know, start a truck. And you gotta actually create the idea for it. You gotta create an outline. You gotta have the mentality to do it. So
I want to get a team made where maybe we go to competition or car shows like the Houston Autorama, or go to Good Guys in Austin. Start competing in a bigger scale. Competitions, we need to try to find if there's school competitions or not, but I know there's plenty of car shows. You know, this last year with the coronavirus and stuff, they kind of hold it back, but once we get back to normal, there's almost a car show every weekend in the summer. And then we got some big shows like the Houston Autorama, and Good Guys in Dallas, Cruising the Coast in Biloxi. So maybe we, in the future, the student that's got more knowledge and make a team, just like we got a football team, we could have a car team, and we'll go to competitions and show what we did in school, what they started from scratch. Then they'll start really getting enthusiastic. Plus, this is a good business to go into. There's a lot of money to be made. And once you get a clientele, they tell their people, and they'll just be calling them left and right because it's specialty work that they'll be, if you're good at what you do, you'll never run out of work. Some of these students, when we first started, they would figure just like where I picked up the truck, they should go to the junkyard. So we saved a vehicle that if they crush it, it'll never exist again. There are fewer and fewer of these cars out there. And these cars don't have sensors, don't have computers, and they take you to the same place a 2021 car with no problems. And the students really are getting enthusiastic seeing something that was going to the trash on being a show car, piece of art. So they recycle the vehicle from being destroyed. And they getting excited because they're starting to see it become something. And when we first started, it was just a pile of rust. So they're seeing that you can take a lot of these cars, and if you know the skills, all you need, and the deal is with learning this trade, nobody can ever take it away from you because it's in here. Money comes and goes, but knowledge, it goes with you wherever you go.
So where else can students go with this knowledge? They can receive certifications in ASC Structural Analysis and Damage Repair, ASC Entry-Level Structure Analysis and Damage Repair SR, ASC Entry-Level Paint and Refinishing, PR, ASC Paint and Refinishing, BT. And so there's many things and avenues that these students can continue with. And I'll leave you with a few words from where they may be going in the future.
It helps us learn, like he said earlier, to measure and cut and to make everything precise. We can take the skills that we learned from this class and put them into other aspects of life if you're going to be a craftsman or something. Pipeline, carpentry, a little bit of electrician. I mean, with like the dash and everything, the wires that run through, we can use that. Really just any kind of craftsmanship, you can use your skills from this and put it into that.